Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritually Fucked podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Mulholland. Let's get into the show. Why your frequency is so important right now. Well, it's always been important, but especially right now. And why am I making this podcast? Well, if you're listening to my podcast, I'm sure you're a high frequency soul who really needs to take care of themselves, and I care about you. So I want to teach you how, and we're going to all get into it. And I have my handy dandy notes because I'm a professional. And if you're here on YouTube, hello, what's up? Do you like my shirt? It's my favorite shirt, and I'm probably found it out of a trash can, but it's my favorite shirt. And yeah, I really don't prepare how I look for these things. I just show up, and what you get is what you get. So I feel like I have to address that every time. I don't know. Do I have low self confidence? Maybe. But okay, that's like almost a minute now. So, why your frequency is important. Okay. Well, right now specifically, the world is doing its thing and it's always been doing its thing. But right now, with technology and the digital age, so many things are being thrown at us at once. And it's so easy to get disrupted, and our nervous system can get in the not so good state just really easily now because of everything out there. And that's kind of the point of like the media. It's to put fear in you and what I don't not to get into that whole conspiracy of it, but the things you read, if it puts fear in you, it's doing its job. So where I come in is I'm going to teach you how to strengthen your field and not get affected by that. And it's not just the media, it's like anywhere you go, there's always going to be those negative Nancy's, and you don't want to be absorbing the shit they're putting out there because for someone who has been sensitive their whole life, I'm a very sensitive soul, and there's many very sensitive souls out there. It's easy to pick up on what other people are putting down, and you shouldn't have to avoid life. I cannot stand the people who are, oh, I'm an empath. I'm so sensitive. I can't be seen in that environment. I can't be around that person, blah, blah, blah. What the fuck is the point then? Why are you here? You are here to experience. And if you're avoiding all these experiences because you're quote unquote sensitive, you're being a pussy. You're not strong enough. You have to build that strong energetic field. And I have had many initiations into this life where I've had to do that. I mean, living with the family I live with, I've had to build a lot of strength, a lot of emotional strength. Having the bosses that I've had, the friends in high school that I had. I was so freaking sensitive, and at points in my life, I found myself avoiding all of it because I was way too sensitive to be around that, and it would affect me. Later down the line, when I started to get into this energy spiritual path, I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. I can sense energy and I can pick up things really easily, which is why I need to avoid everything. I need to, isolate myself and avoid the outside world because I'm just so sensitive. And I'm an empath. I'm a psychic medium. Like I can read people's thoughts. And then I'm like, wait, what the fuck is the point? I'm always isolated. I'm always alone. What's the point of being here? And the point of being here is to experience all of it. You're never going to be able to avoid everything. So you, as a human, need to step into radical responsibility and build strength and stop being such a gosh darn pussy. And it's not to avoid or, throw the darkness under the rug and not address it. It's to be able to handle it and to build that energetic shield where you can go into any fucking room and you can be able to handle it. And I've recently have had a lot of initiations into the darkness and the really like entities. I've had to deal with a lot of ethereal darkness, and oh my god, it's fucking terrifying. And there was a point of 6 months where I was sleeping with the blanket over my head because I was scared. I could sense everything. I could feel the darkness where I was, and even if it wasn't scary, I was sensing and feeling an ethereal thing, and it scared the fucking shit out of me. And I'm 28 years old hiding under a blanket. Like, at what point am I going to go to the gym for spiritualness and build that shield? And so What I'm sharing with you and the importance of this is coming from experience. And from my experience, I have been through a lot, and you are never going to be able to avoid life. Whether that is dealing with your bitchy friends, or watching the news, or a tragedy happening and it's literally making your life turn to shit, or the ghosts in your bedroom, you're not going to be able to avoid it. They're always going to be there. They've always been there. It's just how strong are you to deal with it. And it can come from emotional strength, physical strength, literally being physically strong, but energetic strength is so important, and it's becoming more and more important because the dark forces out there and the media and all that, they're using literal energetic, and they probably always have been using energetic and vibrations to literally infiltrate you. I don't know if I ever say that word right, but rape you with, I'm just going to use that. They're trying to rape you with fear, okay? They want you to be in fear so you're harder to control. And what your job is as a human is not to avoid that, it's to build strength in that. And this is where your frequency is everything. And so I'm going to teach you. This is just literally like a very tiny sliver of what I actually teach. I'm going to tell you why it's so important to build that strength, not to be in fear. I am not ever, 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 ever trying to scare you or be like, the world out there is so dark, it's coming out after you. That is never my job. My job is to encourage you to step into that strength, that radical responsibility that you are in full control of your life. You are not in full control of what's around you or what's happening to you, but you are in full control of how you respond to it. And if you are energetically strong, bitch, you can handle anything. And for someone who was very energetically weak and physically weak for a long time, I had to build strength. And I'm at the spiritual gym a lot, okay? Especially, again, I keep thinking of social media because you look at a meme. It could take you one way or the other, but there could be underlying things in that meme that are literally infiltrating your energy shield, okay? It's like a song, music, and I talk about music a lot in the darkness of it because it's so easy to program a sound. Sound is frequency, it's vibration. So if you're listening to a song that's programmed in a not so good way, you're literally your life is going to start acting really weird, or you're going to be in these weird moods, or you're always going to be sad, and it's because you're listening to a song that's literally programmed to make you sad or programmed to have you in fear, and you don't know why. It's because it's doing it at a vibration. It's doing it at a frequency level. And that's why it is so important for you to strengthen your shield, because you could listen to this shit all day long and it not affect you because you have a strong energetic shield. But you also could be very weak and you could be listening to music that is programmed not so good, aka the hip hop industry. I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. Not everyone. Maybe everyone. I don't know. There's just a lot of darkness in the hip hop industry, and you look at what kind of people listen to that and you're like, it just makes sense. It's like the lowest part of my life when I was in menopause, going through hormone therapy. Like, I literally fucking hated myself. I remember driving, listening to music, just being like, oh, like, my life is just so dark and blah, blah, blah. And guess what fucking music I was listening to? I was listening to a lot of hip hop darkness. And now I look at the artists that I was listening to, and they're literally, you can tell they're run by demons because they are, posting albums of them dressed as the devil, and they wear shirts of that, and they have upside down crosses on, like, tattooed on their bodies. And I'm like, it's so obvious. Like, it's so obvious to me. And I'm sure if you took a second to actually look at the people you are listening to, and you could make a clear decision if they are being run by demons or not. And so it just was this loop because I was feeling this emotion, and then I was listening to music. I was listening to a frequency. I was being infiltrated by a vibration of feeling fear and low. And guess what? My life was at its lowest. So That is just a tiny sliver of how you can not avoid it, but a reason why you should strengthen your shield. Because, I go to yoga classes. Well, I used to. Now, since my back's been broken, I haven't really done that, which, by the way, if you're wondering, my back is a lot better now because I've been doing the work. But I would go to yoga classes and they would play this one artist that was, all over TikTok, and it was just popping at the time, and I literally would almost want to get up and walk out of the room because I'm like, she's literally talking about the devil. Like, she is literally saying paint the streets red like I'm the devil. And I'm like, this is horrible. Like, I cannot be in this room. But at the time I was really weak, and now I'm like, okay, I could walk into this concert and probably not want to be there, but I know I'm not going to get infiltrated, or my mood's not going to shift because I'm not going to let this affect me. And here's the deal. What are you letting affect you? Some things can affect you subconsciously at a subconscious level because our subconscious runs 95% of who we are, by the way. So there are programs running in our brain all the time, and sometimes they're at a subconscious level that you don't really know is happening. But consciously, what are you letting affect you? And then consciously creating a shield around you so you do protect your subconscious. Okay? I really care about you. I want you to be strong, and I want you to not let fear affect your life. Okay? If you can learn anything from this, it's don't let that fear affect your life. Okay, please do it for me. Okay, that's a 12 minutes. So let's get back into frequency and why we're here. And those are some reasons why you should protect yourself. Oh, also, this podcast is really, really, really important if you are an artist or a creator. If you are putting out art into this world, you want to make sure that art is coming from the purest high vibrational state. I mean, maybe you don't. Maybe you do want it to be put out darkness into the world. Is that what you want? I don't think you'd be listening to my podcast if you were that kind of person, because I don't attract those kind of people. So if you're an artist and you're creative and you want to bring art into this world in your heart, you want to make sure you are highly protected and your shield is freaking lock solid, because you want to make sure the art you're producing is coming from that pure place, because that's what art is here. Art is here to give people emotion, and you want to make sure that's coming from a pure place. And it could be coming from a sad place or a place of grief or a place of heartache. That is absolutely 100% okay, because that's how we feel as humans. A lot of my art in poetry is kind of sad. I'm not going to lie. It's like this broken heart girl searching, this yearning, this longing. That's okay, but you want to make sure it's coming from the highest place. You just don't want to make sure that there's a little demon on your shoulder talking to you, telling you to make this scary piece of artwork. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So for any creator out there or anyone who puts stuff out on the internet, I really hope you are taking care of your shield and your protection. So you are producing art that is really pure. And also, this is important for anyone who consumes art or who consumes social media or who has eyeballs. This is for everyone. This podcast is for everyone, because as humans, it's all right to be strong and not let things affect us all the time. Sensitivity is not a weakness. It's just a direction and where you need to strengthen yourself. And if you're wondering, how do I know anything about this? Well, I've been doing this work for 11 years now. My first polarity class or intro into energy was 11 years ago this month. So in 2014, I had my first polarity class, Polarity 1. Polarity therapy is a form of body work, and I learned what energy was. And I remember he gave an example of like a flower in the ground has energy, and I was like, what? It completely like blew me out of the water. I'm 18, and I was just like, what the heck is this? And later I just geeked out. I became a nerd and I became a practitioner, and then I did cranial and energetic nutrition, and then I started to do the plant medicines and the energies behind that, and I got combo certified, and then I did yoga teacher training, and then I've just been seeing practitioners for the past 11 years monthly, weekly for so long. So this work is embedded into my life. And I also went to Joe Dispenza 3 times. Like I love him and his work, and all his work is teaching about frequency, and a lot of the stuff I'm sharing I did learn from him, and also Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zucchina. I learned a lot about the subconscious mind from her. Dr. Joey and Catherine Zinkina, I learned a lot of like the science and the subconscious and atoms and frequency and all that from them, but I learned more of the spiritual stuff of actual energy. And I mean, they're all the same thing, whether it's called science or whether it's spiritual. It's all the same thing, just different languaging. And I learned a lot of that from Sweeha or from my mentor. Or just from going to practitioners. You learn the most by experiencing. So I was seeing people weekly because I had a lot of fucking problems that needed to be fixed at an energetic level. But this work has been implemented in me through experience. You know, that's how you learn life. That's how you learn as a human, as you experience things. And I've experienced a lot of this. So that's why I feel confident in teaching it. How this whole movement that I'm going to be spewing about started is when I posted a reel about frequency. And I'll link that reel because it's actually, I somehow explained it really well for someone who has always had a hard time explaining things or learning about science. I feel, or I know I got this point across very well because I finally understood it for the first time in my life after 11 years of doing this work. It finally fucking clicked in my head. And I was like, oh, I feel confident enough to teach this because I know it not only at a energetic level, like I feel it working, but I know it from a scientific level. And not that having either of those matters, but to me it did matter because people would ask me, what is polarity therapy? And I'm like, I don't know. It just works. Like, just do it. And no one wants to do something when someone just says it works. Like, they want a little explanation. And for someone who was a practitioner and giving sessions, I didn't know how to explain what I was doing. I was like, I'd put my hands on you and you'll feel better. And they're like, what are you doing though? And I'm like, I don't know. It's energy. It's just working. And so now I feel it very deeply in my bones that I'm able to teach this and explain this because it finally clicked. So I made a reel because right now what's going on in this earth, everyone's like pointing fingers at everyone else. And there's all these problems out there. It's like, you need to do this, you need to do that, and we need to make this world better. But we can't make this world better unless we point that finger at ourselves and make ourselves better and raise the frequency of ourselves. That's going to butterfly effect and ricochet off of us into everyone else. And I love the butterfly effect. I want to fucking write a book about the butterfly effect because it's just so beautiful as how our frequency can shift an entire room. And that's why it's so important to take care of that frequency. And that's why I'm teaching you. Well, I'm giving you a little taste in this podcast, and then there will be something at the end that I'm going to recommend for you if you do want to experience more of this at a deeper level. Because with this work, you can only go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's not kind of like a one and done thing. It can be a one and done thing and then you go and you learn on your own, but you need a guide typically. And I am a guide because I've done this for 11 years and I've been through a lot, and you can trust me on that because if you look back at who I was in 2020, I was a whole different person, people. I mean, I was in menopause at 22. Yes, or whatever age I was. I don't fucking know anymore. I just know I was running at a 70-year-old level. My ovaries were kaput. The doctor said they would never work again. I wouldn't be able to have kids, and I'd have to rely on Western medicine my entire life. And at the time, I was on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, 2 thyroid medications, spironolactone for my acne. Like, I weighed 40 pounds overweight. I hated myself. I literally was a walking trauma bed. Like, every trauma I was wearing on my body because I didn't know how to release it because I was so ashamed of it. And again, I was doing energy work at this time, but this is when the real fucking shift had to happen. And this is before I found my mentor that I'm working with now. And this is what led me to plant medicine. And I just was at a place where I was so confused at my own potential. Like I was giving away my power. I was giving away my power to these doctors that only had one solution, and that was to rely on them for the rest of my life. And because think about it, I was 7 medications a month. How much money are they getting? I was relying on them to fuel me or make me quote unquote work. And so I gave up all my power. And I was so unhappy because I was taking all these medications, but my body was still overweight and I still was like, I had all this acne and I just felt so heavy. And it was because I was holding on to all this energy. I was being infiltrated by negative energies. I literally was listening to the worst music you could ever possibly listen to because I was so upset with myself. And I just was lost and I was relying on others. And another part of me that I love to teach is you are your best medicine. Like you should not have to ever rely on anyone else unless you're a little baby, okay? Unless you're a little tiny baby, you should never have to rely on anyone else. But if you're a grown ass adult, bitch, you rely on yourself. So this was a turning point for me. And gosh, I go on rants and I don't know where that was leading. But that's where I came from, I guess I could say. I came from a very low place and now I'm here. And now I'm going to teach all you that. And I'm going to get into it because I can go off rants. Okay, back to frequency, everyone. Let's get back into the podcast. So we all have, oh, okay. So yeah, go watch the reel that I'm going to link in the bottom and then just listen. Okay. We all have a Taurus field, not like the Taurus, like the astrology sign that I am. I am a Taurus, but a Taurus, Taurus field. And you will see pictures. And there's a Taurus field running inside of our body and then on the outside of our body. And so I love imagery. As soon as you see this image, you'll never be able to forget it. But and I post it in this reel. That's why the reel is important. And also you can see my beautiful face. But the Taurus field on the inside, okay, there's like a field running inside your body at the core of your center, and then it's going up and out through your head and then around you, and then there's another field going the opposite direction. And a great example of this is if you picture an apple, okay, you see that little image in your head. It can be red or green, whatever you want. Pink lady, you can picture a pink lady apple, and in the center is a core. That is you are the core of the apple, and then around that is your Taurus field. You know how they say eat an apple a day keeps the doctor away? You just remember that. You take care of your field every day. You're going to keep the doctor away. And maybe I just made that term up and I should copyright it. And it should be a quote that I die with because I think that's pretty cool. A doctor away keeps the apple. Or no, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Just remember that. Your field is an apple. You are the core. You can be whatever apple you want, okay? You want to be a gala apple? I like gala apples. I like the pink lady ones. Okay, enough of that. So within this field, okay, shit can get stuck. There can be energy amoebas, the not so great energy amoebas that suck your energy away, or there could be misalignments or disruptions or twists and knots in this field that can cause twists and knots and disruptions in your body. And let me just explain something for you really quick because I'm a scientist now. Atoms are made up of 99.99999% energy and only 0.00001% matter, which is the little nucleus in the center. So, an atom is mostly energy. You are made up of trillions and trillions of atoms. So you are made up of mostly energy. And a lot of people have a hard time believing that. And I had a hard time believing that too, because I'm like, but I can physically feel myself. I can physically touch things. I'm not walking through walls. I'm not falling through chairs. Why is that? And it's because our atoms are made up of different frequencies. And those frequencies compete with each other, and that's why you don't fall through a chair, because the frequencies of the atoms in the chair are really solid. The frequencies in your body, they're really solid. Again, it took a long time for me to actually understand this, because again, like physical things, you're like, this doesn't have any energy, it's a physical thing. Well, this came through is silver and gold are two different solids. Gold is really soft and sterling silver is really hard. And so they're both solids, but they're both different frequencies. Therefore, one is softer than the other. Does that make sense? They look like the same thing, but their frequencies are different. And you can get two rings, and one is sterling silver and one is gold. And one is going to be softer than the other, but they both look like the exact same thing. But because of the structure of their frequencies or their molecules or whatever the fuck you want to call it is different, they're going to act differently. And that's how different things on this earth are different matters. So it's not the matter of that object that is different, it is the frequency of the atom that it's different. Because again, the atom is only 0.0000001% matter. It's 99.9999999% energy. So it is mostly energy, and it's the frequencies that are causing it to be hard or soft. And humans, we are all made up of the same cells and atoms. So we can co-regulate each other very, very quickly. And how this clicked for me is because if you have two tuning forks at the exact same frequency, I use tuning forks every day in my life because, again, they set and staple your energy and your frequency. If you have two tuning forks next to each other, they're both 440 hertz. If you ring one, the other is going to ring without touching it because they're vibrating at the same level. But if you take a 440 and a 323, I don't know, I just made that up. I don't know if they have those. Just go with it. And you ring the 440, the 323 is not going to ring because they're not of the same frequency. But humans, we're made up of the same energy, of the same frequency. We have cell, blood, skin. Okay, our cells are the same. So if I am a human being and I am vibrating in the highest love I can in my fucking life, and I walk into a room with someone, they're going to start to shift. If they are present with themselves and they're not living 10 feet above their head or dissociated, they're going to start to shift because our frequencies are going to start to co-regulate. And this is where co-regulation is, and your nervous system and blood I can't even fucking say it because I don't know. I'm not a scientist in that world. But so as a collective, if we continuously, each individual person starts vibrating at a higher frequency, we are naturally going to shift and evolve. But if we are continuously in a lower frequency, like watching the news all the time and being infiltrated by really dark music and watching really dark, scary shows, we're going to be in a lower frequency. And what is that going to do? It's going to make us live in a lower frequency. So this is why you cannot point your finger at everyone else to do better and be better. It all starts with ourselves and our own frequency. Am I making sense? Am I blowing your mind? This feels very potent, but maybe that's because it's potent for me. So we all have our Taurus field. It's your responsibility to take care of it. Because guess what? I can't take care of yours. You can come to me for a session and I can brush you all day and make your life so much better in that one session. But you are the only one who can keep that up. And this is what I've learned from working with someone is I go to him every 3 weeks. He updates me, but it is my job to continuously keep that updated. And guess what the homework is? The homework is to keep myself regulated with tuning forks, because the tuning forks are an amazing tool to put you and keep you and lock you into that certain frequency. And different weeks are different words. So 1 week, it could be stability. One week it could be acceptance, but it's my job to click those tuning forks and set my frequency into that so I can stabilize myself. Because if you're constantly relying on other people to keep your frequency high, you're doing something wrong. And so I am teaching you how to keep your frequency at the highest, most possible self so you don't need to rely on anyone else ever again. And we just get to enjoy everyone else as gifts. Because that's another part of this life. It's like you don't want to, I don't need anyone else ever. I can be alone for the rest of my life. No. You want to be able to rely on yourself, take care of yourself so you can enjoy everyone else. Everyone else around you just becomes the biggest gift, even if they are, in a low frequency, because they're teaching you how to be in a higher frequency. Do you see? We're here for connection, but we're here for radical responsibility and acceptance of ourselves. And so, okay, I know you're probably like, well, Taylor, then teach us. Well, I'm trying to, but I go on tangents. So there's energy hygiene, which is like brushing your field. I hope you brush your hair and your teeth every day. If you don't, okay, whatever. You go feral. It's up to you. But the idea is you brush your teeth every day. You got to brush your field. And that is energy hygiene. And the other part of that, which I'm not going to get into, it's a whole different subject, is spiritual protection. We're going to start with energy hygiene. We're taking care of our field. We're brushing it every day. We're cleaning it. We're building strength in it. Spiritual protection is an extra layer we're not going to get into, okay? We're going to stick with energy hygiene, okay? So, okay? So you wake up every day and you want to brush your field, our Taurus field. And we do want to, we want to brush it every day so those stuck energies don't get stucker, or those energy amoebas can clean off. And sometimes you might need an exorcism. I've had many exorcisms in this life because I am an awake, spiritual, sensitive being. Things stick on me really easily because I can go up into 10 different realms just if I close my eyes. Okay, I meditate a lot. If you do plant medicine, you're going into 1,000 different realms, and you're an easy target for anything to stick to you. It's like if you're going up and meditating and you're doing drugs or plant medicines and you're going into these realms, you're like, without protection on you, things are gonna stick to you a lot easier. And that's more of spiritual protection. But for the point of spiritual hygiene is you still want to continuously brush your field every day and clean it, because if something is on you, something's less likely to stick on you if you are continuously taking care of your field and brushing it every day. Because if something little sticks on you, you can just brush it off every day, okay? But if something sticks on you and then it grows and grows and grows, you can see how it can start affecting your life more. And I really hope you're visualizing your field around you when I'm talking about this, because it will make things seem so much easier. Or it's like you have a knot in your field, there's something stuck or disrupted in your field, and it doesn't get brushed ever. It's going to start growing and growing and growing, and maybe it's going to grow as a cyst on your wrist, or it's going to be a pain in your back because it's like this bunch of energy in the back of your body. It's like if you were continuously brushing that every day, you wouldn't have that. It's like if you ever have nightmares or sleep paralysis, that's not you, honey. Sweetie, that's not you. That is something attached to you or something in your space where you don't have a strong field, and it's infiltrating you and it's scaring you. And I grew up with sleep paralysis my whole life, and it just turned out I'm a medium and I didn't have strong protection. Nightmares, I mean, if you're having like night terrors, that is probably something dark. If you're just having a weird, scary dream, you should probably just stop smoking weed. That alone is taking you to different realms. And you look at homeless people. Why are homeless people always schizophrenic? It's a thing where you always see these homeless people talking to no one, and they're always schizophrenic. And it's because homeless people are weak. They are usually taking drugs. They're not taking care of their bodies. So entities attach to them. And so you see someone on the street talking to someone, they're literally talking to someone, because they have their energies are wide open from either drugs or whatever, and things attached to them. And it can get really, really bad if they don't take care of it. And I've never seen a schizophrenic person or a homeless person be doing heaven and earth exercises to cleanse their field. Okay, it's just a known fact. They're always just talking or yelling. And I had an experience where I always leave the house with spiritual protection. You know, I do my energy hygiene every day. Okay, people, I practice what I preach. And I was walking by this homeless person who was like just spewing shit. And she was like, it was so scary. And this is the first time I experienced it. And I wear, spiritual protection. And then, I say my prayers if I feel I need extra protection. And she started yelling at me, like, put that thing away. Like you think that's going to protect you. And I was like, oh my God, she can literally see what I was doing. Because though, again, schizophrenic people have they have a channel open, and it's usually never a good channel, which is why they get really fear infiltrated and they never say good things. It's just they have this channel open, and but she clearly saw what the fuck I was doing. I was, praying to my spiritual protection and wearing it, and I was a light being. I was protecting myself in light, and she was yelling at me for that because she was wide open, and I was just like, holy fuck. Thank God I didn't get any of the things she was spewing on me. But let's say I wasn't wearing that spiritual protection, it could have easily just been sucked right into my field and something could have attached on me. And, that's why you just got to be careful. You don't got to be careful in this world. I don't like that languaging. You have to be aware and you have to be strong. And this is where, having strength in this is so important. And especially if you are a teacher, you want to be a creator on this platform, or you want to teach people how to manifest, you really got to have a practice and just got to hone in on that. And as soon as I decided I wanted to teach this class, oh boy, you should have seen the things I was faced with. Because as soon as you want to teach something, I don't like to say the universe tests you, but it does remind you. It does remind you, and it really puts you in your boots, your work boots. Do you really want to be teaching this? Well, you got to live it. You got to live it first. And this week's been a little nutso. And I've really had to practice what I preach and take in consideration that if I want to teach this, I have to really live it. And I've been living it, and my frequency's been fucking high as a kite, and I've been great, but I also have found myself being low again. And then I'm like, okay, where can I learn? Where can I shift? Because emotions are not to bypass them. I would never in a trillion years tell you to bypass something, but there are ways you transmute it and you take it. And so if I was experiencing this darkness or this feeling of, or this lower frequency, I would sit with it and say, where's this coming from? How can I transmute it? And it was to be able to transmute it into a teaching or to transmute it into a release. It wasn't to get rid of it, really. It was to take it in and release it. And that's what this Taurus field does, is it's constantly circulating, and it's constant, and you want goodness to circulate out of that. But sometimes it's lower frequencies, and that's 100% okay. That's part of being human. But it's learning how to transmute that so you're not in that forever. Because you watch a news show and then you're like, oh my God, the world's ending. I'm going to get shot on the streets, the Civil War, blah, blah, blah. What is that going to do? Are you just going to live in that frequency forever? Are you going to take it and you're going to say, okay, what can I learn from this? Okay, what can I learn from this? Seriously. I'm going to pretend I just watched a show. That's okay. The world's going to shit. Okay, I just watched a show. What can I learn from this? Well, I'm learning that it's so important for me to step into my light as a teacher and to share how important it is to take care of ourselves and have radical responsibility and to be able to transmute this fear into something that's more healing and something that's more sustainable, because there are horrible things always going to be happening in this world, but how are you letting it affect you? And so there's a tiny example. It could go a lot deeper, and it probably will. It's like, okay, the world is going to shit and we're using too much plastic. I'm going to stop using plastic. I'm not going to yell at everyone else to stop using plastic. I am personally going to stop using plastic because I can see how it's affecting the world. And that is how I am one person making a change. Is I am going to stop using plastic because I see that it is affecting the world and it sucks. I don't want to ever see a turtle with a freaking straw through its brain again. So I'm going to stop using straws. Do you see where I'm going? There's always going to be that stuff around us, and it's just like, okay, how can we as one person change? And my friend made a really interesting point is when you point a finger at someone, like, you do like the pointer finger up and then your thumb's kind of up, you're pointing one finger at someone, but the other finger's pointing back to you. Or there's like or four fingers pointing back to you. And it's because you could be yelling at everyone else to do something, but what are you doing about it? Just be a good girl or a good little boy and do your part and inspire others to do the same. Some things you may need to yell at people for, like if your kid keeps okay, I used to throw stuffed animals at the fan and they would like cuz it was so funny cuz they would like ricochet off and like hit the wall. So I used to throw shit at the fan all the time. And my mom's not going to inspire me to stop by not doing that. She's got to yell at me to stop. Like sometimes you do maybe need to use a little force, but how is that force? What is the intention behind that force? The intention behind her yelling at me to stop that was love, because she doesn't want to wreck her fan and she doesn't want the fan to fall on my head and kill her child. Like, I needed to stop, so she yelled at me to stop, but it wasn't like she was yelling at me to get out anger. She was yelling at me to stop. So if you are going to put your fingers at someone and yell, it's like, what is your intention behind that? I'm kind of yelling at you to do this because I think it's important, but it's like, I'm trying to get you to be radically responsible. So the moral of the story is I've been through a lot of experiences to learn that this is a very, very important work and should be included in your life every single day. Oh, here's a good one. I'm looking over my notes because I'm a big girl and I'm responsible. That's why a lot of people who turn to God or pray to God for healing experience that healing because they're tuning into that God, Christ, Jesus frequency, which is the highest frequency of all. It's love. So, you see people go to church and they automatically feel better, or you see people pray and they automatically feel better, or you hear a Christian song and it automatically feels better. It's because, well, certain Christian songs, it's because it's putting you at a higher frequency. And this is where this is just a beautiful, perfect example of how you can change any moment just by tuning into a frequency. And once you find and experience that frequency, it's so easily there for you. You keep pulling from that. And that's why people turn to God and turn to Christ. And because they know if they sit down and pray or they read a verse in the Bible, you're literally reading a frequency. You're connecting with that. And that's why it can be so healing. I've gone to enough Joe Dispenza events to see people stand up out of their wheelchairs and fucking walk, or their MS is gone, or their tumor is gone, because every single day they tuned into this frequency of love or their higher self, or they just kept imagining like a clean Taurus field, or they're doing the work. It might not be overnight. FYI, I don't know if anything is an overnight fix anymore. Maybe if you have superpowers and try hard enough, but it's doing it every single day. Isn't that sweet? It's like, I don't know, I want to cry when I think about it. When people go to church, or they say a prayer, or they do anything, they invite God into their life, they automatically have a sense of like, oh my God, my life can change. And it's because they're connecting to a frequency. And it's so beautiful. And it's Christ consciousness. And I'm not implying that you should do any of that. I would never tell anyone that they need to do anything. I mean, I'm kind of telling you need to do this, but different strokes for different folks. There's a lot of different things out there, but it's just an example of a certain frequency. The highest frequency of all is love. Where can you find love? You can be connecting to your little baby child every day, or your little cat, because you love that cat every day. And guess what? It's not going to heal your life. I don't like to say something's going to heal your life. Maybe it does. It's going to make your life a lot better. And I want you to live the best life ever. And so you find something you love and you connect to that every day and you just watch little shifts. If you are wondering how to do this, how do I wake up every day and set my frequency right? How do I strengthen my frequency? Well, one thing is don't avoid everything. If you're being triggered by something, you want to work with it and you want to say, why is this triggering me? Well, that's maybe a different subject. Maybe we work on that in our one-on-one sessions, but you don't want to avoid life. And if you find yourself avoiding life, you are maybe in a place where you can strengthen your frequency or work on being in a not different environment on the external, but a different environment on the inside. I think that's a great analogy is like we sometimes can't change the environment we live in. I cannot change who I live with as of right now, okay? As much as I want to move out on my own, I can't change that. So I have to change the environment on the inside of me to shift. So how can I do that? Well, there's a lot you can do for that. And I could go on a rant, but it might be different for everyone. But if you do want to learn how to strengthen your frequency, to be able to shift immediately or at any time, to be able to connect and brush with those strings every single day of your Taurus field, to connect to the earth, connect to that light energy. There's this simple, tiny little practice that you do every day. It's going to take less than 5 minutes, and it may or may not add an incredible amount of value into your life. And these tiny little shifts are going to add up and make a huge change. They're going to be much more effective than paying $5,000 at a retreat that's going to fix your life. Doing tiny little shifts every single day adds up to a freaking tsunami. So, if you want to learn more, I am offering a class. Okay, it's literally $25. If you want to do the class, or you're feeling called to do it, I highly recommend do it. It's going to be on Zoom, and then if you miss the Zoom or you're listening to this after that, you're going to be able to buy the recording for literally $25. I wanted to make this as affordable as I could, but also like it's going to be a ton of value. And guess what, people? If you don't like it, it's literally only $25. Either you pay $25 and it's something you put into your life every single day and it massively affects you. Amazing. Best $25 I ever spent. Or you take it for $25 and you're like, this is the stupidest thing I ever did in my life. It's only $25. So you really have nothing to lose. As much as I want to give you as much free information as I can and teach this world, a lot of the times people will not make a change in their life until they invest in themselves. And I have invested in myself enough, and I've also taken enough free courses to see the difference. If I am paying, I've done a lot of online programs. If I'm paying $2,000, $1,500, $2,000, like any amount of money to do an online course, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to take every little ounce of information I can squeeze out of this course because I have put energy to it, and that energy is money. So when you put money towards something, you're going to want to do it more and you're going to want to implement it into your life. The amount of free courses, free Zooms, free workshops I've signed up for, I never finish them because there's no value to it. I didn't put any value to it. So when you put a value to it, no matter how much or how little, you're putting a value to yourself. And so I made this $25 so you are putting an investment into yourself and you are going to try it. You try it for a week, see how it changes. Try it for 2 weeks, see how it changes. I hope you do it for the rest of your life, but what is included is an amazing, thought out, well zoomed course by yours truly, me. My incredible, amazing personality. You'll see my face on the screen, my intoxicating playfulness, like all that is included, and also a morning and evening exercise. That's it. That's all. Well, that and all the information you learn about why it's so important. How can you include this into your life? How can you shift at any moment? Oh my God, you're stuck in a situation and you find yourself in literally it feels like you're living in a pile of shit, and I will teach you how to transmute that shit. And it's going to be there's going to be a Q&A at the end. You can ask me all the questions you want. You can ask me out on a date, whatever you want. I am there. I am your teacher. And you have the recording for the rest of your life. You can share it with friends. I don't fucking care. Like, do whatever you want. I want this world to be better at an individual level. And so if you can individually better yourself for literally $25, please do. This is my first course I'm offering through my podcast, and this podcast is the prereq. So if you made it all the way through, you are ready for the next level, baby. And this is the next level. And so this is energy hygiene, energetic hygiene. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to call it. Energy hygiene 101. Do we like that? Do we like 101? It may or may not be the best thing in your life. I also offer private classes. If you're in person, that's the work I do love to do. I live in Boulder, Colorado, or sometimes I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. If you want to fly me out to work with me one-on-one privately, I do hands-on healing work too. That is probably what I light up about the most. I also offer a combo. Sananga is like, ooh, I love Sananga ceremonies. These are, of course, in person, but I also do remote healing and offer private classes or private sessions and mentorship. And a new offering I have is astrology sessions, intuitive astrology sessions. And these are like the blueprint of your soul. It's the blueprint of the sky when you were born, and it just really unlocks a complete layer of how you can shift your life, because it's like when I look at your chart, it's like I'm literally opening up this portal into the composition of your body and how you were made and created. And it's like, then we can go into that, and it's like, what's happening in your life? And then related to your chart. And there's just so much magic in these astrology readings. So that's a new offering. You can find it all. It's not all on my website. You can find it all in my words right now, and then you can reach out. I do have my mentorship options on my website and my private sessions. The classes are more so just word of mouth. Maybe I do have them on my website. Who knows? Again, I'm an energetic being. I'm not a tech wizard or an entrepreneur. So we have my class, and then we have my one-on-one classes, and then we have my amazing mentorship options, and then we have my astrology readings, and then we have this podcast. And so those will all be in the show notes. If I could leave you with anything, it's that I adore you. And if you're here and you're listening, you are a very high frequency soul. I know you are, and you want to make massive shifts and changes in your life, because those are the kind of people I attracted. And you're probably smoking hot, because I am only friends with really stunning, beautiful, amazing people. And if you want to make that next step, do the class. If you don't, I literally could care less. It's literally the best. It's going to be the best class you can ever take on energy hygiene, and you won't be able to learn that from anyone else, and you will miss out on all the jokes. So I really hope to inspire you to live an amazing life. And I say that 100%, even though sometimes what I say comes off sarcastic, but like I mean that full-heartedly. And to also live a silly life, and to love yourself and love your neighbors and do all the things out of love, and to watch The Office when you want to watch The Office, because that show puts me in a really high frequency. And if you can find something that puts you in a high frequency and it's free, you go do that. That's how we will heal this earth, is being in a high frequency. Not avoiding our pain, but asking where the pain wants to lead us. And that is the podcast for today. And I'm so happy you're here. Thank you. That's it. That's all I got. If you want more, you call me. And if you don't have my number, you take this class and you change your life. And maybe you will be able to attract me into your life, because you are living in a high vibrational field, and you will learn how to manifest from there and manifest your high vibrational life. And maybe I am a part of that. Okay, now I'm just going off on a tangent. This is how manifesting works, is being in a high vibration. So if you learn how to keep staying in a high vibration and being able to transmute all your ickiness, you're going to attract really high vibrational souls in your life. And I have done that. And maybe you should go do that too. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Okay, bye bye.